Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. On many occasions, the actor Brian Cox, not the physicist Brian Cox, has said that he loves Scotland, that he wants Scottish independence. He says Scotland the greatest country in the world. And it's so good that the first thing he did when he became rich and famous was to leave it. Much the same as Sean Connery. Oh yeah, Scotland's marvellous. And now I've made my money. And he pissed off to America. Because that's what they do. The last thing they want to actually do is stay in Scotland if they've got the money to leave. But then they sit there from afar, sitting there supping their champagne, in Southern California and thinking how a lovely life is. And then going on and pontificating how great Scotland is, especially now they've left it. I'm pretty sure the people of Scotland agree. It's a much better place now that you've left it. But he says he will never return. He loves Scotland that much that he will never return until he's dead. In news that is bound to bring quite a lot of pleasure to quite a few Scots, let me tell you. Many of whom watch this channel, I suspect. But there he is. He's a man. I've got no personal grudge against Brian Cox. He's made some great films. He's a good actor. Don't have a problem with him as a person or as an actor or anything like that. But the sheer bloody hypocrisy of the man sitting there, buggers off to America, sits there, makes an absolute fortune and says Scotland's the greatest place in the world, needs to be independent, but I don't want to live there. Anyway, we'll have a look at this. It's nothing. It's not a big story. It's just a little puff piece. But I just thought it was just the hypocrisy that attracted me to the story. So I'll just put it out there so we all see exactly what sort of independence-minded nationalist Brian Cox is. Here goes. There we go. Independence supporting Brian Cox says he'll only return to Scotland when he's dead. Well, that's unless there's a big film being made and he needs to go to Scotland to film it, in which case he'll return to Scotland for the money. Because let's not forget, that's why he left Scotland, for the money. It's not that he's particularly patriotic to the old country, as it were. Because if he were, he would have never left it. Now he's gone. He doesn't want to come back. So the Succession star has not been shy about his wish to drag Scotland out of the UK, but has ruled out any move back to the country of his birth. Well, you have to ask why. Why is independence so important to you if you're not living there? It's like you're living in America now. Imagine if Texas decided it's going to leave the United States. I'm sure there'd be trouble over that. Would you support Texas in leaving? Who knows? Actually, don't know. It's a guess. I don't know. He probably wouldn't, though, because it would cause upset to the people who pay his wages. Anyway, Succession star Brian Cox has admitted he will only return to Scotland permanently once he's died, despite his vocal support for breaking up the UK. Cox, 77, and a very apt name really, isn't it? Is one of several Scottish-born actors who back Skexit while basing themselves elsewhere. They're all after it. They're all doing the same bloody thing. Yeah, let's get out of Scotland. Why? I've made my money. Let's get the hell out of Scotland. Oh, Scotland's great. Scotland's great. We'll come back and live here. Not a chance. Honestly. He said it appears he has no inclination to return to the country of his birth, while Dundee-born Cox wants to be buried here. He's ruled out a move back to stay. Because money. Cox has won a wave of supporters for his role as Logan Roy in HBO's Succession. He even scooped a Golden Globe for his turn as the billionaire media mogul. He's previously appeared in the likes of Braveheart, The Bourne Identity, Troy and Churchill, and he's done loads of things. He's even been in Doctor Who, although you'd be hard-pressed to find him. I think he's voice only. Anyway, he played an Ood, the voice of the Ood. That's right. Anyway, I've done that bit. According to the Daily Mail, Cox is returning to Scotland briefly in 2024 to direct and star in a movie called Glenrothen, set in a whiskey distillery. Oh yeah, exactly what I said then. Oh, he's coming back. He's willing to come back for the fold-in, for the moolah, but not to actually live here. He despises Scotland for some reason. But asked if he'd ever set a home in Scotland again, he said, I doubt it. He said, I'll certainly be buried there. That's much I know. And the irony of what the next line is. Cox, who took a DNA test that showed him to be 88% Irish and just 12% Scottish, has often flip-flopped on Scotland's place in the Union. A former Labour Party member, he campaigned for yes in the lead up to the 2014 referendum and then later joined the SNP. That's good, him being a good Irishman and all now. To be sure, you're all often confused. And I can do that. If anyone else does that, that's racist. Anyway, he was supposed to lead a Skexit march earlier this year before he pulled out due to illness, or the fact that he realised he'd have to come back to Scotland to do it, and that's the last thing he wanted to do. However, last year he spoke of not wanting to break up the union. He described himself as an Anglophile. The man's deeply confused. He's getting on. He's 77. Have we considered a little bit of Alzheimer's? This year, oh, want to break up the union. Last year, didn't want to break up the union. Year before, wanted to break up the union. The year before that, who knows? Who cares? But he's obviously very confused. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's saying. I wonder, is he like incontinent? He has to, the old prostate playing up. Can't go too far. That's what it is. That's what it is. Doesn't like travel. Doesn't want to be too far from a toilet. There we go. That answers that one. Problems with his cocks. Anyway, he said, I don't want to break up the union, but I want another idea for the union, for the United Federation. Independent countries, Wales, Ireland, Scotland and England, because I think England gets a load of the tap end of the bath. That's actually a very good term. I like that term. I've never heard that. Yeah, I do like that term. Anyway, he says, I am by nature an Anglophile. I studied here in London, so I'm very disposed to that. What I believe is an independent states, but we come together as a United Federation. Yes, that's exactly what we've got. He's previously ruled out a return to Scotland, claiming it was too cold and damp to move here. He currently resides in New York. Oh, I said Los Angeles, but that's fine. New York. On some nights, New York is as hot as Bangkok. Saul Bellow. Anyway, yeah, I don't care where he lives, but it's the hypocrisy of saying, oh, Scotland's the greatest country in the world, I want independence, blah, 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 join the SNP, and then goes and sods off and lives abroad. Like so many of them. They're sort of plastic jocks. And he, of course, really is a plastic jock, because he's not even Scottish, 88% Irish. He's a plastic paddy. God's sake. Make your mind up, Cox. Pick a country and stick with it. Don't care which. Anyway, I shall stop there and I shall round off and come up. But he really is a bit of a hypocrite, isn't he? There we go. Mr. Cox. Predominantly an Irishman. 88% Irish, 12% Scottish. Now living in America and wanting Scottish independence and swearing he'll never come back to Scotland to live. It's a bit hypocritical, Brian. And it's also a bit confusing. But you are getting on a bit. Is something in there a little bit twisted perhaps? Something going wrong a bit? Getting a bit confused on a daily basis? Forgetting what room you've walked into? Who knows? Anyway, he's like a lot of them though. Made his money and sodded off. I'm out of here and I'm never coming back. He's not alone, is he? Never mind. I'll finish there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see and hear on the channel, do please hit the subscribe button. Do please press the like button. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. I've got no ill will against Brian Cox, but for God's sake, stop being a hypocritical, two-faced idiot. Bye.